Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Transitions Collective. I'm your host, Mary Clavier, and this week I'm speaking with Lindsey Johnson of Verity & Co. Lindsey has a 3-in-1 service where she provides branding, website, and copywriting all in one nice package. You may wonder, why do I need all three at once? Well, Lindsey dives into why it's important to know all three, how they connect together, and what you can do in your business to bring your website to life and attract your ideal clients. I hope you enjoy this episode. Hi, Lindsey. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Mary. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to have you here today and to talk all things web, brand, and copy.
Yes.
It's going to be great. Okay, so to get us started, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Yeah. So my name is Lindsey Johnson and my business is Verity & Co. So I help female entrepreneurs grow and scale their business through branding, web design, and copy. And I'm all about businesses who are looking to make an impact in the world more than just making an income. So leaving a legacy for your family. I love working with women who can see a broader picture than just the day-to-day grind, even though that's what we're all in, right? The day-to-day grind.
We're surviving.
We are, yeah. So I live in northern Wisconsin. I'm almost as far north as you can get. We're really close to the south shore of Lake Superior, which is awesome. Born and raised here. We love the lake so much. I have a husband. His name is Matt, and 3 kids, and we're just living a quiet country life. And yeah, a little bit about me.
And you're doing your thing, and you're helping so many female entrepreneurs. So I love that. Yeah. Okay. And maybe we'll talk also actually a little bit of how you got started in this space, because especially not to pick on your location, but since you said your location, it's remote compared to other things. So, but you're still, killing it and having a business and doing your thing and supporting your family and living somewhere that maybe doesn't have as, easy access to like a city environment or something.
Right. Yeah. So I started, I have 0 corporate experience. So I'm kind of a different interviewee for you, aren't I? Yeah. So okay. I don't have any corporate experience, but I made the transition from working for other small businesses and then starting a business of my own.
You still had a transition.
I did.
Everyone has a transition. So
yeah,
that's why. Yeah.
So the transition for me was, when I was pregnant with our first baby, I decided I wanted to stay home, but I still kind of wanted to do something. I just wasn't sure what that something was going to be. Mm-hmm. So my husband's relative had a digital marketing business, and he's like, hey, you want to come on board? I'll teach you how to do websites. I'll teach you how to do all the things, kind of train you in, and you can do it from your house. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. I'll do that. So I was essentially a virtual assistant in 2014, before I even knew what a virtual assistant even was. Yeah. But I learned on the job. He taught me a lot of things and then gave me a really good foundation to start my own business. He decided to go another direction with his business and said I could have it if I wanted to. But his business wasn't exactly what I saw my business being. So I kind of snatched a couple of his clients, but I started my own brand at that point. And that was back in 2014. So it was a slow transition, and it was slow, kind of a side hustle for a long time. But honestly, that was the best kind of growth that I could have had. I wouldn't have been able to support a really fast business growth anyways. Just I have no corporate experience, which is in a way a fresh look on business, but it's also kind of a handicap in the way that I don't know how things are done in corporate. So I couldn't apply any of those principles to my own business. So it was just an interesting looking back to see how it all got started.
Mm-hmm. But, I actually think, in a lot of ways, especially because I came from working at a big company, and the bigger the company, the less you really have the opportunity to say like change, or I won't say impact. You can still impact, but your reach is different. You're like more like narrowed in on a specific piece of a job or in a specific department. you with your background in, I mean, being a virtual assistant and helping, small businesses, you're really like a jack of all trades, which I think really gets you farther as being an entrepreneur, because in the beginning of being an entrepreneur and having your own business, you have to do all of those things too.
Yeah.
So the transition can be difficult for people coming from corporate when they're used to like, being in one spot and then having to do all different things, like having to do their own marketing plus their own, anything really.
Yeah, everything.
Legal
right.
and everything, and finding the people to help them. So
yeah.
So that's great. I think it's good to have different perspectives and to hear about people's different transitions. And mine was also like very slow. I think and I could talk all day on this, so we will move on after the break. But I think people kind of they notice people once they're like big and famous or something like that, and they don't realize the work that goes in, or like the time that goes into getting through those transitions and figuring out where you want to go and what you want to do. So they are long. My own transition with building brief transitions was also long.
Yeah.
But I'd love to talk more about how you ended up, or like you can explain a little bit about what you do now, because I think it's pretty unique that you do the branding and the website building and the copy all in one. So I'd like to talk about how you got to that and, explaining more about what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I first started, I started out with primarily web design. But with the first few clients that I had, they really didn't know what to write on their website. They didn't know the words to use to talk to their ideal client. They didn't know how to describe their own business in a way that didn't make them feel awkward, because it's hard to talk about and sell your own services or whatever your business is. It's hard to sell yourself. If you're not confident in what you are doing is going to actually make a difference or provide a transformation. And so in the beginning, I did do a couple of websites and copy without really recognizing the difference of the services that I was providing. So I kind of got into it without, again, really realizing what I was doing. But I do have a bachelor's in English. So that's
handy.
Like it is handy.
Yeah.
I'm not formally trained in development or design, but I do have a background.
That's cool though.
In English, I just love words and I love writing. So it was really easy to put that piece into my business then, when I realized that it was something that people really did want help with.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think that makes a big difference. I struggled with that myself. And when you are not your own avatar, usually people are, they could be talking to themselves, but they could also not be. So how do you fix the language to resonate with someone else?
Right. A lot of the people I work with are like almost a 50-50 split. The people they're working to attract have some qualities of their own, personality or values or different things of that avatar, but they're not 100% their own avatar. They still need to learn how to speak to a different client base, essentially.
Yeah. Okay. So in terms of, let's dig in a little bit to website and copy. You can tell me which one.
Sure.
But what do you recommend, or what do you think of when someone's thinking, say they're starting, we'll just make something up, they're starting to go out on their own to do consulting, some kind of maybe business consulting. They say, okay, I need a website. What are some of the things that you think are most important when you're going through that process, or things that they should consider?
Oh, there's so many.
You can pick a few of your favorites.
I'll pick a few. Yeah. So when you are starting your very first website, the biggest thing is to have a call to action or some sort of language that encourages people to take action to work with you. Normally, you want them to either book a discovery call, or you want them to do something to get them to know you better. So if you can realize that you don't want to confuse people when they get to your website, you don't want to have like a bajillion offers for them. You don't want them to direct to your blog and look at your about page and listened to this podcast that you were on. So if you have too many things going on, your audience won't know what you want them to ultimately take action on.
Yeah.
So kind of pick one thing per page to really drive home that you want them to like book a discovery call. It doesn't mean that you don't have other things on your website, but they're kind of background information. They take a lesser role of importance, just so you don't confuse. You don't want to have too many buttons.
Yeah.
And then people don't know what you want them to do.
Right. And where to go, or they feel maybe like overwhelmed.
Yep. Yeah.
And they're like, no.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a very good point.
Keep all the information, because you still need people to read about you. You still need them to know who you are and what you do. So it's not like you don't have anything on there.
Right. Right.
But keep it in a way that's really clear and concise and guides them on a road, essentially, to here's who I am, this is who I serve, this is what I do, and then here's the next thing you can do to get to know me better.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes, that's a very good point. I like that one.
And that's kind of web and copy both.
Yeah.
It's in the design of the site, and it's also in the way that you speak to your audience and the readers of your site too. Yeah,
that's a really good point. Okay. In terms of like your basics, is there like a minimum that you say is suggested for having a new site? Like say someone's starting consulting, they need like an about page and a services page, or, something like that.
Yeah, I typically recommend like 4 to 5 of those static pages. You want either a home or start here page, a page that describes more about you as a person, the ways that they can work with you, so services or work with me. There's different ways to label it. And then a contact page, so either a form that they can fill out, a really easy way to book a call with you, whatever you want that action to be. So those are the four main ones that I would recommend for like a consulting business.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. I think people nowadays, they can easily get overwhelmed, or they're starting a business and they think like, okay, now I need my site, and now what? And it can seem overwhelming to start. Yeah,
it can be very daunting. The tech is daunting. You need to figure out what kind of hosting you need, what kind of site you want, like WordPress or Squarespace. And then getting all of that tech set up in the background can be very overwhelming.
Yeah. Okay, great. So what do you include that in what you do also?
I do.
So you do. Okay.
Yeah. So a lot of it is guidance in the beginning and some consulting to figure out what the best platform is for my clients and what kind of hosting package they need. But then we work together to get that set up. If they don't want to go into the back end of their hosting site, they never have to touch it.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing. And making sure you.
But once the site is done, then I love to train them on how to use it. So the WordPress sites that I like to build, they're pretty robust and they have a good foundation and also capabilities for like a lot more if you want to do e-commerce, or there's a lot of things that WordPress can do. But I love to be able to provide training and different videos for them so they can manage it on their own, if they want to.
Okay. Yeah, that's another aspect of it as they grow, and if they can do it themselves, or if they have someone else helping them.
Right.
In terms of copy, because I think that's a unique space that you're in, that you're doing the technical piece, you're doing like the branding, the look and feel of it, and you're also doing the copy. Do you have suggestions on, I know for me, like copy is it's not my wheelhouse. I don't feel like it's my wheelhouse. So do you have suggestions for people that don't think it's their wheelhouse? Like, what should they start with? Because I assume, well, I don't know if I should even assume this, that they're giving you a draft of some sort, or you have a discussion with them and then you create it for them. But where would they start when they want to think about their messaging and how to get it across?
Yeah. So when people work with me, we do have several intake forms that we work through together to nail down ideal clients. We work through core values of your business. So there are a lot of foundational pieces of your own brand that we need to work through first before we can start diving into the message that you want to share with the world. So core values, different different values that you hold, and then different values that your client holds, and how those mix. Your brand mission, like a mission statement or a value statement, and even a vision statement for the future. Like, what is your business right now, but what do you want it to look like next year? And what do you want it to look like 3 years from now? So those are really key in helping develop the brand itself, but then it also helps develop the messaging and how you want to market your business.
Okay. Yeah. So it's kind of like brand and copy, and then that feeds into
it really does.
Website.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. That's kind of how I wanted to approach it, is because all three of these things are so important by themselves, but they're more impactful if you can weave them all together. So if you can weave the core values of your brand into the marketing message and then put it on a website in a way that it looks really cohesive and polished, that's what I love. Yeah. That's why all three of them are really important to Verity and my business.
Yeah. That's very unique, because usually you can work with, say, web people, and they'll say, okay, send me all the copy, or send me all the branding stuff and your colors and all those things. But having it all together makes it that much more cohesive. I think that's a pretty unique aspect to it.
Yeah, I feel like I'm an anomaly in the business world for sure.
No, that's really cool. That's really cool. How did you, so you said your transition, like, it took a while, but is this the realization that came over time, that you were working in all three spaces anyway?
Yeah.
And then you incorporated it? Okay, I'd love to hear a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So like, again, in the very beginning, I ended up doing a lot of writing for my clients without realizing that I should probably be charging a separate service for this. And then, over the past probably 12 to 18 months is when I started to think about a full service package, essentially, because I was offering branding by itself, web design by itself, and copy by itself, but none of those were really taking off as like my thing, what I was known for. I was still kind of like the web girl, but I would help with your messaging. But it wasn't very distinct. Yeah. So the past year to year and a half is when I started really thinking through the idea of combining all of them into a package to help serve women better, so they didn't have to go to 3 separate freelancers to get all this stuff done. Because what if something's lost in translation? What if the visuals don't match the marketing message? Right. And that sometimes happens. Yeah. So that was a transition to what Verity is now. Yeah. Okay, that's so interesting. That's great that you were able to come to that from, everything you worked on, because I feel like it's hard to see when, that's another part of transitions, like when you're going through stuff, and it's hard to see like out of what's right in front of you. Oh, it really is. And it's hard to say no to things too, when you've been doing everything for so long. That's a great point. How can you tell people no? How can you say, like, this is just what I'm focusing on right now? Yeah. So how did you do that? I'm putting you on the spot now. I know. I actually made it really clear in my own like social media messaging that this was my focus. I will still accept like a copywriting client on its own if it's a good fit. Yeah. So I will make exceptions to the rule. That's for sure. But I started really tweaking my own marketing message in what I wrote on social media and what I sent out to my email list, and then the structure and copy of my own website too. That was another transition to really revamp my own site. Right. Be more clear in what I do for people. Yeah, and that you do all three. Okay, yeah, that's a really good point. And that it's all cohesive, and I guess explaining the importance, like why it's important and why it's helpful and how powerful it is that it is cohesive. That's key to any business, is to explain and help guide your audience to what that result will be and why it's so important. So you can like talk all day about what you do, but if people don't understand why it's important for them and how it can help their own situation or life or business or personal issue or whatever, however you serve people, if they can't see their own life in that transformation, it won't click for them, no matter how much you talk about the thing that you do. So
Right.
it's all about like the transformation and the result and like the good things that come after.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point, because if they can't relate to what they
Right.
see, then how will they click on your action button,
Right.
for
How will they
example?
know that this is good for you, for them?
Right. Right. Okay. Okay. Oh, that's fantastic. Um, I think people, not everyone, but it's easy to underestimate the value of all of those things coming together, and how much, especially like for someone like me, like I have an engineering background, so I'm not in the design space or the copy space. Since it's so foreign to me, I'm like, oh, that doesn't, matter as much. But no, actually, that's one of my bigger learnings, I would say, as a business owner, is how much all of that matters. Like so much, in terms of, because then that spreads to even your marketing message. So your website is like the first stop with what you're doing with, how people see you in terms of
Right.
marketing too, I guess. And then how it translates to social media or the other things that you try to do with your copy. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay. So, I had a couple of my own, like out of curiosity, like more specific copywriting questions, just because it's not a space that I'm clear in, and maybe it will help someone else that's listening or watching, I see people use copywriting different ways, like sometimes in the I form and sometimes in the we form, like having it look like they're a group or an agency.
Yeah.
Is one way better than the other? Or I'm sure there's intricacies to it, but what do you usually suggest? I'm always curious when I see between the two.
So when I first started out, like way back in the day, I'm pretty sure I used we, even though it was me, myself, and I. There was like no one else in the picture. It just felt more professional to me, I think, to use we instead of just I.
Yeah.
It might be that vulnerability piece where you don't really want people to know that it's just little old you sitting behind your computer.
Right. That's a good point.
So I don't know that there's a better way. I use I right now. And I am in the process of building a team around me this coming year. So it won't be just I for, hopefully for here on out. But I know. Yay. But it also feels like maybe people will relate to me better when they can see that this business was kind of bootstrapped from the beginning. It was homegrown. It was something that I had a dream for, and I made it happen. So it kind of depends on how personal you want to relate to your audience.
Yeah, that's a good point, because using the I does seem very personal.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, okay, it's just me.
Yep. Like, hi, I'll help you. I really can.
Yeah. And like the we, it's like you have like a little buffer in there somehow.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. That's it. Yeah. I've always been curious about that, because I see people, using different versions. I'm like, oh, which one,
It also depends if you want to be a more personal brand or if you're kind of a more corporate-y type business. If you want to grow really fast and you want to add people to your team, maybe you do start out with we right away.
Yeah.
But if you want people to connect with like your face as the face of the business, they'll probably connect with you faster with the pronoun I.
Yeah. And and match with like your own photos online.
Right.
And all of that stuff.
Yeah. So kind of a business by business decision.
Yeah. Okay. For the underwear, I use I, because no one else is really telling the story of the underwear,
Right.
Since I have the mesh underwear, I'm like, okay, that one.
Yep.
It's me, myself, and I that went through that situation. Although a lot of, moms relate to it. So.
Oh yeah. Good. I like that choice for you.
Yeah. Thank you. But with Transitions Collective, actually, I kind of, to be honest, I bounce back and forth between I and we, because I want it to be about the community and about helping more women, but then I want them to know that I'm also there. So that's why I think it comes up for me sometimes as a question. Like,
right. I think that works, because your business name is the Transitions Collective, so you are talking about more than just one person.
Right. Even if they're not necessarily, working with me or something, like
Right.
it's not my own team. Like I have a VA, for example, but I don't have like a team of other people helping with it. But it could be we, the collective, you know.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, thank you for humoring me on that one. I don't know if other people wonder that, but I was wondering that because I'm like, I see both, Okay, so I want to get to a couple more things. We talked about people that are just starting out with a website, or just starting out in their business. I'd like to talk a little bit about people that are maybe scaling to the next level. Maybe they need a website refresh. How do people know, or how should they know or tell, like when they need to maybe upgrade their website that they already have?
So the biggest indicator that I come across is that people just don't love it anymore.
Okay.
Like they aren't happy to send people there, or they're embarrassed to send people there.
Yeah.
You're like, I have a website, but it's not very good, so you probably shouldn't go there. I'll just tell you what you need to know. Or you can go to my Instagram and you can find out what you need to know, but don't go to my website because it's really bad.
And it's 2019 and you're trying to like have people not go to your website. Oh my God.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So their website could be from 10 years ago and it just looks really outdated. Maybe their logo still looks really outdated.
Okay.
Or it's a logo they did in Canva 5 years ago and it just doesn't really fit if they're scaling and they're growing.
Yeah.
But yeah, the biggest one is that people are embarrassed, or they're just like, it's not worth updating because I hate it so much. We'll just make it work for a while and then see what we can do later.
But that could then be impacting their business for the same reasons we talked about before, right? Because then maybe they're, one, if it's maybe ugly or not so pretty looking, but then also if the copy is like old and outdated, or like you said, the logo, then they're not having people on their on their site, I guess.
Right. Or if their services aren't accurate anymore. There's a lot of things, like informational things that maybe just got passed over because they don't love being on their website anymore.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's
so that's a key indicator for me, is that people are just like, don't go there.
Okay. And it could be for any of the reasons. It could be for the branding or the the messaging in the copy. It could be for anything.
Yeah, so it could be that what their website says doesn't match with what they offer anymore, or maybe their avatar has changed, so they're trying to reach a next level client too as they're trying to scale. Because the visuals are kind of big on that too. If you have like I don't want to bash Etsy logos, but if they're pretty flowery, watercolory, you kind of sense that they're from Etsy. It gives a handmade feel that's not quite as high end as some of my clients want to shoot for as far as their avatar, Yeah. So the look definitely impacts the clients that are attracted to you.
Yeah. It's the subtle things too. Yeah. Now that you say that, that totally makes sense.
And it works for a lot of brands, and it works for a lot of makers or crafters. But if you are a business consultant, sometimes that look is not the look that you're going for. If you're hoping to attract, say 6-figure plus business owners who need your consulting services, they probably won't be attracted to like a watercolor butterfly logo from Etsy or Creative Market.
Right. You need to be like, you need to look. Yeah, I see what you mean. I don't want
to
like religious.
No.
More like in a different way, just a different style.
Right.
It's really just
you have to represent what you're actually doing in a better way.
Yeah. And I suppose, colors and all of that goes into all of that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is it bad? Like if someone does a website refresh, do you usually advise them to kind of stay with what they have in some way, shape, or form and kind of give it like, a new face? Or do you see people go like in a totally different like direction, and they're like one day their website looks like this and then the other day it's like different colors, different everything?
So I think it really depends on how much of the brand they're actually changing.
Okay.
So if they're going through a rebrand entirely, if their colors don't represent them anymore. So like there's color psychology that we kind of go through because different colors make people feel different ways. It is fascinating.
Wow.
So if you're like a fiery red, like passion brand or whatever, but that's not what you want anymore, you need like greens or which kind of symbolize like trustworthiness. So there's different feelings that these colors can help evoke in your audience. Then it's like a rebrand and everything's got to change.
Yeah.
But if you're solid in your branding, if you're solid in the audience that you're serving and your website just needs a refresh, then we definitely want to keep things consistent as possible as far as the look, but just give it kind of like new life.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but yes, of course, the colors and everything, because you can look at logos of like big companies too and what they've chosen and how they,
Yep. So there's different levels of either rebranding or refreshing what you have that you don't have to start from scratch.
And then do people ever like also switch platforms like of what their website is on or?
Yeah, sometimes people start with like Weebly or Wix, and those two, they're okay, but you don't have the functionality if you wanted to keep growing or adding different features to your website as like WordPress. Squarespace is kind of like in between. So the Weebly and Wix, I actually never recommend them.
Yeah.
And then Squarespace is good, and WordPress is, I think, better because you just have so much more capability,
more options
for growth. Yeah. And then if you're e-commerce, WordPress will do e-commerce, but Shopify does e-commerce, and there's several platforms for that. There's Show It, which is a photography specific website. Even other businesses use it, but it was created primarily to like showcase beautiful images and photography.
That's true. So actually about the platforms, because we didn't really dig into that piece, but perhaps someone started their website and they were like, okay, I'm going to do this myself. This is a side hustle and I'm just going to put something out there so that I can have some visibility. Now it's time for me to up my game. They might be switching from something like a Wix or a Weebly and moving into Squarespace or even WordPress or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's
sometimes better's not best. Like if you can get something out there, if you're just starting, do a site on Wix.
Yeah.
Because something is better than nothing. I mean, make a logo in Canva. If that's all you can do, just do it, because there's no shame in looking back and seeing how you started.
Oh my gosh, sometimes
zero shame.
It's so funny. It's so funny. Sometimes I was like, what was I, but it's part of, I love that.
I mean, we look back and go, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
For real, that's terrible.
Right. Right. But at the time,
it's what you could do. Yeah.
I honestly think that's how you get started. You have to be willing to do something. Yeah. Because something's better than nothing. And then later you can fix it or improve it or take it to that next level and go through that transition. I love that you said that. Yeah, because in
the beginning, you're either using your own personal resources to hire out these things done. If you're not, if you're not bringing in revenue and you're not bringing in profit yet, you have to either use your own personal finances or you have to give your own time to getting these things done. And a lot of people don't have a huge chunk of cash in the bank to start a business, so they're bootstrapping it and they're putting in their own time to learn Wix, to learn Squarespace, and they're just getting it done and making it happen.
Yeah. And that will at least show people that, hey, I have a business and I'm here.
Yes.
And get them whatever it might be, testing things out or getting clients, testing with clients, and then growing to that next level.
Yeah, because you can always keep growing.
Yes.
But if you never get started, there's nowhere to grow to.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I love that you said that. And that makes a difference. The platforms, and how someone might start and then how they might switch and grow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. Actually, I'm looking to do something similar, even just for brief transitions, maybe adding a cart on my own site, because right now I sell only directly on Amazon. I'm like, okay, I think it's time now to also, I first started brief transitions selling on my own site, but eventually went to Amazon. But now I'm like, okay, now it's time to have both, like I can handle both and I should have both.
Oh, awesome.
So I think it's important for people to recognize that, everyone's kind of working through.
Oh, right. And timing is always different for different people too.
Yeah.
You went through a time of selling on your own site and then moved to Amazon, which has been amazing for you. But now you're like, well, what's next?
Yeah.
What can we do next?
Exactly. Yeah. And it makes a difference. Yes. That's a very good way to put it, Lindsey. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. So I like to ask one more question that I ask all of my audience before we close out. For you, it will be a tiny bit different, but I usually say, what skill from corporate America has helped you most as an entrepreneur? But the same thing applies for small business and other ways that people work. You're not the only one that has tweaked that question. So what skill that you had before has helped you most in your business now?
It's a good question. It's a very good question.
Thank you. I get quite a variety of answers, to be honest.
I might have a couple, but I think one big one is just flexibility. And flexibility and probably perseverance. And the ability to kind of learn how to wing it.
Yeah.
In small business, sometimes you have to wing it. If you're either the only contractor working for another small business, or there's very few people to actually do the thing, you have to kind of learn as you go and just figure it out. So when I was working with multiple small businesses when I was a teenager and then early college, those are probably the three, like being flexible and really being perseverant, like that stick-to-itiveness.
Yeah.
And the ability to just figure it out and get stuff done.
Those are all fantastic and super important because I feel like I go through those all the time. Like,
yes,
I have to now be flexible. Okay. Yes, totally.
Yeah.
I have to juggle all these things, yes. And that's not something that, that you can quite prepare. You have to get the experience. Right. So it's good that you got the experience.
Yeah.
That one. Okay. And okay, so can you also tell everyone where they can find you? If they want to learn more and contact you?
Yes. So my website is verityandco.com. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Verity & Co. And I would love to connect. I've got some resources on my website if anyone's interested in help with copy or just, reach out and let me know how I can help you. Hang out on Instagram and Facebook.
Cool. We'll put links in the show notes as well so people can reach you. Cool. Lindsey, thank you so much. This was so helpful. I really appreciate it. I know that you have such great information around all of those topics, branding, website, and copy. So I'm sure it's been helpful for the audience.
Thank you.
I even snuck in my own little questions there.
Yeah, I'm glad. Good. Well, thank you so much, Mary. This was wonderful.
Thanks, Lindsey. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye. I love this interview with Lindsey. I thought she gave great advice and insight talking through when you're first starting a business and starting your website and what it looks like, how it may change as you grow and scale and change your company over time. I liked also that she mentioned, the different aspects of branding and how those all tie together in your website. For example, your logo and your design, the copywriting that goes with it, and the colors that you choose, and how that all makes a difference. So some things to keep in mind as you're building your own site, getting your site built, and working through your ideal customer avatar, ideal client, and how your services communicate correctly to them. Because that is half the battle, is getting to them, communicating correctly, and letting them know what you do and how you do it. So I hope you enjoyed this episode with Lindsey, and until next time, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out, Mary at the Transitions Collective. And if you want to sign up for our membership community that is launching very soon, go to thetransitionscollective.com/community to find out more. Thanks for watching. Bye.